two great signals. One great way to keep up with what's happening in your world. KLIF News and Information, 570 AM, 96.3 FM HD2.
The following program is furnished by K1 International LLC and is responsible for its content. Now, from the fifth floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruziniga.
Good morning, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Welcome to Inside Real Estate Sports Entertainment. Mike Kruziniga here, your host and local DFW area realtor. Hey, we are back live and in person. Last week we had some technical difficulties, but looks like we're back on track and excited to be back and put some good entertainment in front of y'all's ears out there. We got a double live special today. Not only are we live this morning, 8 to 9 a.m., as we are every Sunday, but we've got a special show coming up a little bit later this afternoon, live at 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 p.m., and we've got our reschedule of our very special guest at the 2 o'clock session. New York Times bestselling author James Rollins should be on the show coming up at 2 o'clock. At least we're hoping so. Hope it's all going to work out. He was scheduled last week, but we had technical difficulties here in the studio, and so hopefully that'll be on this afternoon. But we've got a big show this morning and a big show this afternoon, so tune into that one. We're going to be back here, 570 Cliff, at 2 o'clock live as well. Hey, this morning we're going to do a few things. We got Terry Wagner. We're going to be talking Supreme Lending, Rockwall. We got USDA talk. We're going to talk some USDA loans with her. Kevin Hamus, owner of Ideal Floors, is going to be on the show, and we're going to be talking to him about some home improvement. And then what I'm really looking forward to at the end of the show, our resident expert in all things law, Perry Cockerell, is here for our attorney and law segment, and he's going to be talking to us about a couple cases that are going on and kind of explain those to us in layman's terms so that we understand, but some important things going on out there. But what I'm even more excited to talk about is his book. Our very own Perry Cockerell has written a book. He just released it last week. It's called A Private War, and so I'm going to be really excited to talk to Perry about it. And this is, I believe, his first novel, right? And so we're looking forward to talking to him about that. So that's very exciting. So that's kind of what's going on here in the show today. Of course, if you want to call into us later on the show, you can, 888-787-KLIF. Don't forget the website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. All of the articles we talk about, all the subjects that we talk about are on our Pinterest page. We have a page for every single show. You can connect there from the website, as well as all of our other social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc. So there you go, all that stuff. If you are actively looking for real estate out there, hey, we've got the most amazing app for you. It's the DFW Metroplex Real Estate app provided by our folks out in California, snaprealestate.com. Very simple and effective app. Doesn't give you pop-up ads or any of that nonsense. Just a great app to use, so I'd look into that. Hey, there's a lot going on out there. We're going to talk about a little bit of headlines and then kind of move on. One thing also, and it's like author mania lately. Next week, I wanted to preview that. Sean McFate's going to be on the show next week, author of Shadow War. So, we kind of do things in segments. We go through politics, we go through sports, and right now we've got all of our authors on these few weeks, so we're excited about that. Let's get into a little bit of headlines. We had Warren Buffett had his big meeting, Berkshire Hathaway, the other day, and last year they drew about 40,000 people to that thing. This year, not quite as many, but I thought the most interesting thing that he kind of mentioned, they had asked him about, obviously the upcoming presidential election, and he's a longtime pretty big supporter of Hillary Clinton. And they said, well, what if she doesn't? What if she doesn't win? What if Trump wins? What if it's a Republican candidate that wins? And he said, honestly, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, honestly, it doesn't really matter. He said, the economy is going to move forward as it's going to move forward. So there you go. From the great Warren Buffett, at the end of the day, and once you kind of have gone through enough political cycles, you kind of start to figure that out. Republican or Democrat goes in. things just kind of work out the way they're going to work out anyway. Hey, Cowboys news, Mississippi State Dak Prescott, QB. We brought a quarterback on through the draft, so that was pretty interesting. So we'll see if he's going to make it to the number 2 or be down at number 3. He's going to be going against Kellen Moore. So we'll see how that goes. But they're first time we've drafted a QB in quite a while, so that's pretty interesting. Dak Prescott. We also released Hardy, and so that was interesting. And I thought, and Sam and I were talking about this morning on the drive over, Hardy actually played pretty good last year. And, I was kind of hard on him early on because of the allegations and everything that was going on with him in advance. But at the end of the day, once they get on the field and do what they do, he actually did a pretty heck of a good job. So I was kind of surprised to see that release myself, and pretty interesting there. Let's hop into the real estate side of things. Hey, have you ever thought about a houseboat down in the Keys? One of my favorite spots, Isla Mirada, or if you call it Isla Mirada, whichever way you call it, down in the Florida Keys. I've been down there and spent a lot of time in the Keys back when I was traveling a lot, and did a lot of fishing out of there. Caught some wahoo out of there, and but there's a houseboat down there. Got about 300 feet of ocean front, only about $4.25 million, not too shabby. It's a 60-foot houseboat built in 1948. But here's the interesting part about this story. It was built for Hotel Baron Conrad Hilton, and some of the history on it is President George Bush Sr. Stayed there, as well as, more importantly, President Harry Truman stayed there. And, as a matter of fact, many of the Truman letters were penned by Mr. Harry S. Truman while he was staying there. So that was pretty unique to know that. Obviously, the Florida Keys are quite inspired many people, Hemingway, and certainly inspired Harry Truman to pen quite a few of the Truman letters. So at $4.25 million, that'll get you some ocean-front real estate in Isla Mirada down in the Keys. Hey, how about Queen Elizabeth's parents? Their home is for sale. Looking at about 30 million pounds. And 232-acre Wolmer's Park in England, 1700s mansion. It's on the market and should be right around 30 million pounds is what they're looking for. It belonged to the Earl and Countess of Strathmore. Of course, those are the grandparents of Queen Elizabeth II. And she spent a fair bit of time there as a kiddo. So there you go. That's on the market. Really cool 1880 Italian property for sale up in Saratoga Springs, New York, $825,000. About 1880 is when it was built. About 40 miles north of New York. Original hardwood flooring. About 5,400 square feet, wraparound porch, 7 bedrooms with a several-story tower. What a beautiful property that is. There's a link to that one on the website as well. So that's pretty cool. That's about all the time we have for headlines for now. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate, Mike Kruziniga. We're going to be back in a few.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Perma-Pure Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Perma-Pure Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Perma-Pure at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapure.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Kruziniga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Folks, we are back from the break. It's time for Inside Real Estate. And guess what? We're going to get back into some mortgage talk with Terry Wagner. Website, RockyMartin.com. Phone number, 866-607-5667. Time to talk some all things mortgage with Miss Terry Wagner. How we doing, Terry?
Good morning, Mike.
Well, let's get into some talk about, how about USDA? Is that the plan today?
I think that's a good topic for us to talk about today. I'm not sure we've gone over that too well in the past. So it's a great loan product. It's not widespread. Obviously, you can't purchase a home in the middle of Dallas or the middle of Fort Worth and use the USDA loan program. But for those folks who kind of want to get a little bit of the country feel to their life and get away from it all, we've got some great areas around our Metroplex that are USDA eligible that allow you to do that.
For sure.
So USDA, we've talked about this, is still one of those loan types that still allows for 100% financing. No money down required. We've talked about the fact that you can finance in your mortgage, or they call it a guarantee fee, which is equivalent to mortgage insurance. So you can finance that into your loan. And here's an interesting fact, Mike. Did you know that if a borrower has property they're buying a property that's eligible for USDA, when I compare USDA to the FHA loan, in most instances, the USDA payment is less than that of the FHA loan.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
because of the monthly mortgage insurance or guarantee fee that goes along with the USDA is less than that of the FHA loan. Now, with that being said, I will tell you, USDA is a little bit more difficult to get into. You have to have a little bit stronger of a buyer to be able to do the USDA loan. Not necessarily. I mean, the guidelines kind of line up pretty similar. You have to have a 620 credit score. Your debt ratios have to be a little bit less on a USDA, but when you run it through the automated system for USDA, it's a little more difficult to get an approval. We can do what's called a manual underwrite on a USDA, but those two are a little more difficult to get accomplished.
Right.
You have to have your established buyer, really, is what they're looking for. Someone who has exhibited the ability to save money, to make their payments where they are now, to keep their credit score up a little bit, to retain their job for a good amount of time. Someone new to the working world is not going to get an approval on a USDA loan. Mm-hmm. 2-year job history or better is going to work great for us. 2-year residency with some ability to show that they've paid the rent is going to help us out. So it's, again, a little bit more difficult of a loan, but definitely worth it if we've got the borrower that fits within those criteria.
Yeah, so if you're a stable buyer, established, like you say, you've been on the job for a while, credit score's been holding steady, or moving in the right direction at least, then this might be something for you. And like you're right, you can't buy something in the middle of the Metroplex. It seems like all the time USDA is blocking out areas even surrounding the Metroplex. Mm-hmm. But folks, if you're not a veteran, the only other zero down option for you is USDA. And if you don't mind a little bit of a commute going into wherever you're looking at, let's say on the Dallas side, Forney is still USDA acceptable right now, and Forney's hot and growing.
It sure is.
So you might want to utilize that USDA before Forney gets blocked.
Right. Forney and Heartland, right out there beside Forney. Mm-hmm. Royce City, Caddo Mills, Fate, all of those areas out there are still eligible for the USDA. Now, Tarrant County, a little more restrictive, so you have to go out a little bit further. I don't think anywhere in Tarrant County is eligible for USDA.
No, really the only spot close to there is Crowley. Crowley is still USDA available, but Burleson is already out, and Cleburne is actually out already as well. Now, there are some areas kind of maybe in between there, and then a little further south and a little further west. So if you go maybe south of Mansfield, south of Midlothian, Midlothian is blocked. South of Midlothian, even if you go to the west side of town, Weatherford is blocked, but there are areas on the west side of town and moving to the northwest side of town that are available, and of course north of 380 if you want to live on the north side of town.
Right. And how we determine that, there's obviously, just like everything else, there's a website for us to go to. So if you want to, give us a call and we can determine what area you're wanting to look at, and if there are any surrounding areas, maybe if you went out a little bit further, that would be eligible. We can certainly pull that map and see what's eligible for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing about thinking about USDA, if you are wanting to kind of get outside of the Metroplex, USDA is a great option. It gives you that zero down flexibility. And, the chances are you're not going to run into the same issues we're having here in the Metroplex,
right?
Which is multiple offers on a lot of properties. So we'll probably be able to go out and find a property and negotiate it on it directly with the seller, which almost feels like it's an old school thing now.
That's a great point.
But, and you'll feel better about the purchase,
mm-hmm.
And be able to work it out directly with, with the seller and not feel like you're just throwing in a blind bid like we're having to do here in the Metroplex, pretty far and wide inside the Metroplex.
Right. And because USDA is a conforming product, we can go up to a loan amount of $417,000. It's not restrictive like the FHA loan. So that's another good part of it as well. So one of the things that they're going to look at when we go to underwrite the file is your payment shock. If you are renting somewhere right now and you are paying $1,000 a month, and you go find a property that your payment's going to be $2,000 a month, that's going to be an issue on a USDA loan. Not necessarily not overcomable, but it can be an issue. So you kind of want to stay in line with what you're used to, not make any huge jumps like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to look for compensating factors if something like that happens. Do you have the ability to save? Have you put anything away? Because right now you're paying $1,000 a month and you want to go to $2,000 a month, but you don't even have the ability to save where you are. So we need to look at all of that.
Yeah, and if it's a situation where you're living well below your means and you're managing your finances the right way and you're ready to step up now,
that's a different story. Absolutely.
Story. But if you're like a lot of people that are, you kind of get in that paycheck to paycheck mode and you save a little bit and spend a lot.
Right.
It might be tough for you.
Right. But some of the other compensating factors is, do you have a conservative attitude when it comes to your credit? Are you paying off your credit cards on a monthly basis, or are you paying just the minimums and stuff like that? It's going to show a potential to increase your earnings. So if you are in a job that allows that demonstrates that you're going to have greater income in the next coming years, that's another compensating factor that we don't talk about very often.
Mm-hmm.
A doctor, you're just brand new, you just graduated, you've been doing this for a couple of years, but the potential for your earnings is obviously there. So that's a compensating factor that we can use for this loan as well as others as well.
Okay.
And then if one more compensating factor, if you've got over a 680 credit score, that's a great one. The higher credit score, obviously, with any underwriting system that we go through, USDA included, the higher credit scores, money in the bank, good job time, good residency time, those are all aspects that are going to help us secure you a loan.
Okay. Now I've got a question on this. I haven't had this happen with the USDA, but I have had it with a VA, and the marks are $417,000 is that top end cap.
Right.
On the VA, you can go over the $417,000 if you don't go zero down, but you actually bring some financials to the table, bring some money to the table based on a very complicated mathematical equation that you guys have.
And we keep that secret too, Mike.
Yes.
We don't tell you.
That's right. It's an absolute secret. And can we do that with USDA? Can we go over the 417? I haven't had it happen personally, so...
No, you can't.
No, you cannot.
No, it's a conforming product.
Okay.
And so what that means is 417 is the top of the line.
It's
now,
the cap.
If your loan amount is $420, you can put $3,000 down. That certainly can happen, but the loan amount cannot exceed $417 because on a conforming product, if it goes above $417, then it becomes a non-conforming product, and that's when you get into the jumbo loan.
Okay.
And I haven't had it come up. I don't believe that it would be eligible, although I'll check into it for us this week. Because like a conventional loan, if someone's doing a conventional loan and we go above that 417, we can do a second lien. But I don't think that's eligible on a USDA loan. We'd have to then flip it to a conventional loan.
But, the way the prices are going, they're getting higher and higher.
Exactly.
For example, out in Forney, there's quite a few, $400,000 homes available out there. And I think a lot of people probably haven't thought about that if they're shopping in that ballpark range.
Right.
They're not probably thinking about that option, and it might be a good option for them.
Well, and that's another compensating factor that I didn't mention. If you're doing USDA and you've got a property that your loan amount is close to $417 or maybe a little over, and you put money down, that's a compensating factor because you've decreased the loan to value. So definitely we could do something like that. But yeah, I agree with you. Prices of homes seem to really be skyrocketing in this area, and leaving a little home to choose from below $300,000.
Yeah. The options are pretty little, and so for some of you, your options may be to move out towards the country, and that's not a bad thing because the property taxes are generally a little bit less.
Yes, they are.
You may have the USDA option to go zero down. You might have less competition to getting the home, at least for now until it starts ramping up as we move out further. But it might be a combination of great factors, for your situation out there, folks.
Right. It's a great product and something that definitely should be looked at if someone's a little flexible in where they want to move to.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for the buyer that's not only, you think zero down and you're like, okay, that's, for a particular type of buyer, that's maybe, low income or that type of thing. But that really doesn't matter. I mean, like you said, you can go up to 417, and so if you're looking in those 300s, you haven't thought about USDA, it might be a really good option for you, even if you decide you're putting money down anyway. Maybe you're planning to put 20% down conventional or 10% down conventional. Well, your interest rate might be lower on a USDA and still put that same amount down. Right.
Here's a great plan for a lot of people out there right now too, Mike, because the market needs your house. If you're living within the city limits, the market needs your house to be listed. Mm-hmm. So list your house, move out a little bit, make a little money on it, and get you probably a lot nicer house, a bigger house, just a little bit out of town.
Yeah,
and utilize this program and maybe use the cash reserve that you have selling that home to pay off credit cards or whatever you want to do. Take a vacation, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a win-win. Yeah, if you're going to sell your property in the Metroplex, it's look, folks. If you haven't looked at it anytime recently, it's significantly appreciated, even if you haven't made the updates. I mean, I'm seeing houses that need foundation work, and they're in multiple offers already. Like, look, the bid is $10,000 on a foundation on this one house that I'm going to look at later today, and it's already in multiple offers. Best and final is due on Monday at 5:00.
Wow, are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. I've got the listing, in my backpack over here.
That's crazy.
Is it not? Is it not?
That's crazy.
Of course, it's in Carrollton. Super high demand.
Everyone wants to go there.
But just like the rest of the Metroplex is as well. But, wow. I mean, the house is not even really ready to go, and you're going to make money on it. You're probably going to be multiple offers. Move out to the country, get a bigger home, better deal, better interest rate probably on a USDA. It sounds like a bunch of win-wins to me.
Yes, the interest rates are great on USDA for sure. So just like we said earlier, payment is typically better on a USDA loan than an FHA loan. So if we can find a property that fits within the property eligibility, 9 times out of 10, that's a better loan to go.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, folks, we've been talking USDA with Terri Wagner over at Supreme Lending Rockwall. You can always get a hold of her at 866-607-5667. RockyMartin.com is the website. We've been talking to Terri Wagner, Mortgage Talk. Folks, Inside Real Estate, Mike Kruziniga. See you in a few.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Perma-Pure Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Perma-Pure Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Perma-Pure at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapure.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. It's time for Inside Real Estate. We got a flooring segment coming up, folks. Flooring segment, home improvement segment. Hey, website InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. We've got Kevin Hamus here, owner of Ideal Floors. Phone number 214-789-0422. And of course the website IdealFloors.com, IdealFloors.com. Kevin, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good. Glad to be back.
Good. Well, I know we were going to talk a little bit about pricing and kind of the specials that you have, but also how you come up with these specials and pricing, and kind of a little bit of behind the scenes on how you do business, which allows you to do something very special in the marketplace, which is pass on some pretty extreme savings to the consumer.
Yeah, I just really wanted to talk this time about how we do business and why we're a great place to buy flooring from. First of all, we have over 3.5 million square feet of flooring in stock. We have over 60,000 square feet in warehouse space, and our specialty is buying drops from companies, overruns, bankruptcy stock. Actually, we had a deal a couple months ago where a collection agency called us and said, hey, we're trying to get some collecting from this guy and he hasn't paid us. So, but he owns a flooring company and he's willing to trade travertine for what he owed. So they made a deal to trade travertine, a scabbous travertine, in fact, which is a very high quality travertine, to trade that. And then he came to us and said, hey, I have this scabbous travertine I need to sell. So then we buy it. And then he takes the money for the debt that the other flooring company owed. So we buy bankruptcy stocks, insurance claims. We get deals from insurance claims, like if a truck gets in an accident and on the freeway, and whether it's wood or tile or no matter what it is, or laminate, if it gets wet any at all, they call, insurance company, has to file a claim for all of it.
Right.
So now the insurance company has all of this product they need to get rid of. So then a lot of times we get that. We also buy seconds, which are just generally are construction-wise where the product is still really, really good, but it may have just an off shade, or it may have like wood where it has more knots than what the sample says. So, we buy in truckloads, and also we buy containers from overseas. We buy our vinyl plank from overseas. We buy laminate. Most all wood comes from the United States. But so because we buy in such volume, we can give great prices.
Right. Yeah, folks, if you're listening to this, Kevin's telling you about all the ways behind the scenes that he does business, is just because he's a smart businessman. But he's doing that, not, just to increase profit and et cetera, which of course is a nice thing, but to pass on to you, the consumer, these savings of how he does business, which is doing business in a very smart manner, picking up bankruptcy stock, all of these things that you're saying, where you had the story about the guy who needed to get rid of the scabbous travertine, and you don't hear those stories, folks, out there. Kevin's telling you how he's able to get you some really good deals, folks, if you're listening.
And another thing there we do is a lot of times we may have to buy a lot of square footage of one product. Like not too long ago, we bought almost 100,000 square feet of laminate, because it was a deal that, came across, we couldn't turn it down. So one thing that we do with a lot of these products that we sell or we bring in is a lot of them go on Craigslist, where we'll just put a small margin on them because we have such a high quantity of them to try and get rid of them as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. So one thing is if you go on, if the listener goes on to Craigslist and looks up laminate or looks up wood or tile or whatever or carpet, that they can find a lot of our discounted pricing there. Mm-hmm. Like we will have sometimes we've had ceramic tile as low as 39 cents. Right now we got laminate, that's 12 mil laminate, which is a really high quality laminate for 99 cents.
Wow.
I know we have some wood. I'm pretty sure it's like $1.29 for engineered wood. And so we have lots of deals that are out there where especially if you're looking for cash and carry, we can come and we can make a deal because we have really we don't have a lot of labor into it. Like when we do installs and we do full service installations, there's a lot involved in that. First the customer has to pick out the product, then we go out and we measure the home for free. So there's time there. Then they come back, calculate how much is going to be needed, and set up the install. And the install department has to take it and, schedule it and make sure the install goes okay. So there's a lot involved when we do an install. Sure. But when we do cash and carry, the customer comes in and says, I want this. And you go, okay, this is the price. They pick it up and they're gone.
Right.
So our margins are so much lower on cash and carry just because there's very little time involved.
Right. Yeah, so folks, no matter what boat you're in, let's say you're a remodeler, and you're looking for material, Kevin's place is where you need to go to get your material because, like you said, he's going to have a smaller margin on these cash and carry deals. So if you're a remodeler, there's a great option for you. If you do do-it-yourself type projects, then it's, pick up Kevin's product, go do it yourself, make it happen. If you're flipping houses, you definitely want a good vendor where you can get all your flooring, and that's a huge part of remodeling, huge part of flipping. If you're in property management, you got to have a vendor because every time that renter leaves, guess what? You're replacing the flooring most likely, especially with those pets. You got to take that pet deposit, and that security deposit, and you got to go get some flooring before the renter gets in there. And then, of course, the folks that are just, average Joe and Jane, and it's time to do a flooring upgrade. You want to get the best product at the best price, so you definitely want to get with Kevin. A lot of great options.
Well, and also one thing I wanted to mention is that we also have vinyl plank. Vinyl plank is becoming very, very popular now. It's especially over sheet vinyl. Vinyl plank usually comes in 6-inch wide, 36 inches long, and it looks like wood. And most of them are wood look plank. So when you put that, a lot of people are putting that in their living rooms and all their living areas, and they're putting carpet in the bedrooms and a lot of investors and property management companies are doing that. But vinyl plank we have as low as 64 cents for cash and carry.
Wow.
And also one thing I did mention was our carpet. We have carpet as low as $3.99 per square yard, cash and carry. So there's, if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're looking for products, or if you're an investor looking for somebody to put in flooring very reasonable for you, or a property management company, like Mike said, I really, really believe that you're not going to find anybody better than us, and we have a price match guarantee. If you find a price of our product we sell elsewhere, we'll match it or beat it. And so there's no cost for you guys, for the listener, to come to one of our stores and get a quote. It's like you're not going to lose any money, but if we can beat your prices you have, great. If we can't, just buy them from somewhere else. So, but just we'd love to have the opportunity to earn their business.
Yeah, well, and I know you have the price match guarantee, and you'll beat it. So why wouldn't you want to go with Kevin? And 5 locations in the DFW area that you can go in, check out the showroom floors, and but if you don't want to go into the store, they'll bring the product out to you. They'll go over the product with you out at your location, out at your home. Of course, you can always go to the website, idealfloors.com. But, as Kevin and I have talked about, he brings in a lot of material at different times, so you might want to swing by one of the stores that's closest to you and, see what material is in there, because that might be that super high quality material where you're going to get an excellent deal on it, and you're not going to get that kind of deal anywhere else. So he's bringing new stuff in all the time, shipping containers, truckloads, and so I would actually encourage you to go into the store. I know we love to do our shopping online, and, website is great, but I'd really encourage you to go on into the showroom floor and check it out as well, and talk to Kevin, let him know you heard it on the radio, and that you want to do some business with him, because he does business the right way. Folks, we've been talking to Kevin Hamas, owner of Ideal Floors. The website is idealfloors.com, by the way. And you know what? You can actually call him direct on his cell phone number. His cell phone number is 214-789-0422. We've been talking about the way they do business and how pricing and specials are so important with what he does, and how he's able to get you product at such a great price, but still service all price range of homes and all price ranges of products that would go into just your average home or a high-end home. And so, folks, I hope you really call Kevin. He's going to take really good care of you. Folks, it's been another great home improvement segment with Kevin Hamas of Ideal Floors. Folks, Mike Kruziniga, Inside Real Estate, back in a few.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Kruziniga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Do you know the difference between a business and a successful business? Excellent branding. You can increase your sales and branding recognition by attending the 1-hour free Cumulus Radio Branding Seminar, May 11th. You'll learn the 4 keys of branding, how to use trigger events to drive business, and how to market your business. You'll even get a free lunch. To join us, call 214-523-2760. That's 214-523-2760.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. Inside Real Estate, Sports Entertainment. Mike Kruziniga here, your host. Hey, we're going to go into our Attorney at Law segment here very shortly. Live in studio, we've got Perry J. Cockerell, website perryjcockerell.com. By the way, also, before I forget, don't forget we have a very special show coming up today at a special time at 2 p.m. So tune right back here, 570 a.m. KLIF. at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Very special show. We're going to have James Rollins on the show, New York Times bestselling author. So tune in for that a little bit later on, 2 o'clock this afternoon. Website InsideRealEstateRadio.com. And as you know, we have our resident expert here live in studio, and from time to time he comes in, talks to us about everything legal going on, cases that are going on out there that we need to know about. And but before we get into that, we're going to talk about his brand new book just released. By the way, if you haven't heard us talking with Perry before, I've been practicing law for over 35 years, board certified in civil trial law since 92. Works in civil litigation here in Texas, state and federal courts, working real estate, title insurance, defense, bankruptcy, employment law, probate litigation. And by the way, longtime veteran, Navy commander, retired, 28 years, reserve, and awarded the Bronze Star as well. And so one heck of a guy. And Perry, how you doing today?
I'm fine. Thank you, Mike. I'm glad to be back.
Good. Good to see you again. I'm really excited. Brand new book. The book is called A Private War. This is just released. This is actually literally hot off the presses. You just signed me a copy, and thank you very much. I'm looking forward to reading this. Sounds like an extremely interesting story. By the way, we're going to have links to it on the website, the Pinterest page, and all of that. There's going to be a link to Amazon where you can actually purchase this book. So let's get into the book a little bit and talk about it. It's called A Private War.
It is, and the inspiration of it came in a few years ago when I Googled my name and afro.com came up on that search. And so I was curious why, what the connection was. And so I went in the website and there was my name, except it was the name of a private Perry Cockerell who served in 1944 in France, in the liberation of France. And he was interviewed by a black journalist by the name of Ollie Stewart. Ollie Stewart was the first black credentialed journalist to cover World War II, and he was sent to Africa, Sicily, Italy, France. He went back to London, and then he went to the liberation invasion of Normandy, and then he covered the war all the way through Germany. He's not very well known.
Not at all. I didn't know the name.
And he does have a Wikipedia site because I created it, actually, from all the research I did for the last few years. So
wow.
It was interesting because along the way I learned a lot about the journalists who were credentialed to go to war over there. And actually there were 6 black journalists credentialed by the government in the 40s, and 3 of them went to the European theater and the others went to other areas. And this book fictionalizes him because I created a story around him, and I created 2 black soldiers from Alabama who enlist in the Army, and they are sent to London, where they board a British ship along with the rest of and Ollie Stewart is credentialed, except in the book is named Oliver Smith. He's credentialed, and he goes aboard that ship, and he actually meets them, and he meets the other black soldiers as well. And on that ship was Ernie Pyle, and in real life, Ollie Stewart and Ernie Pyle were on the same ship. And so they travel. They go to Oran, O-R-A-N, in Africa, Morocco, and they cover the war in Africa for that campaign. They cover Rommel, and then they cover the Casablanca Conference in 1943. And Stewart actually interviews Josephine Baker, who was an American black female entertainer from St. Louis who immigrated to France, and she was in Casablanca. He interviews her, sends that dispatch back to the United States, and then he covers it. What was interesting about the study is to learn about the black soldiers' contribution in World War II. There were actually many black service members that served in all branches and in all roles. And then there were some particular fighting units that served in Europe and Africa. The first one, of course, as you probably heard, is the Tuskegee Airmen.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And he covered them. And then he went to Italy, and he covered what they call the Buffalo Soldiers. They were about 4,000 black soldiers that served in, many of them served in Italy. And then they came back, when they came through France, they covered the what is the 761st Tank Battalion, which was what's been referred to as the Black Panthers. When you think of the Black Panther, it's really the Black Panther symbol of the 761st Tank Battalion that was trained in Louisiana, at Camp Claiborne, and then they were transferred to Fort Hood, which was Camp Hood then, and then they were sent to New York, and then they were put on a ship and they went to London and they trained for another month, and then they were given new tanks, and then they went to France and followed the invasion all the way to Germany, and so he covered them. And he was looking for the condition of the black soldier, but his life was. But in this book, I fictionalized a story that he covers these two soldiers, and along the way he meets famous people. He met Franklin Roosevelt, and he met Winston Churchill at the Casablanca Conference, and then also in the book there's a lot of female journalists that I put, and I created a character by the name of Tatiana Phillips, who was really inspired by a real lady by the name of Elizabeth Phillips, and she was to go cover the war for the black female for the journalist, but then actually got sick in London and did not make that trip. So in the book, I fictionalize that she actually goes.
Made the trip,
and she falls in love with Oliver. But in real life, the Elizabeth Phillips did report from London, and there were many women that reported from London. And you might know that Martha Gellhorn boarded a ship, went on the invasion on the first day illegally. She violated the rules of engagement and was arrested and sent back.
Right.
The book has Ernest Hemingway in there, who was on the ship, but his ship did not make it because it was under fire. But there were other reporters that went. Lee Miller was a photographer. Mary Welsh Hemingway later went to France, and May Craig was a journalist. Now there were other men like Charles Collingwood, Bill Downs, Andy Rooney, and that are mentioned in the book, play kind of a minor role.
And and we're going to get back into a little bit more of this book. There's a lot of research that goes into this, and I want to hear about all the research that you had to do, all the approvals that you had to get to write this book as well. But we're going to take a short break first. Folks, Inside Real Estate Sports Entertainment, be back in a few. With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we're back. Inside Real Estate, Mike Kruziniga, your host. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. You can always catch up with us right there at that website and hit all of our other sub-sites, social media, etc. We're talking with Perry J. Cockerell, our resident attorney expert. And, of course, today we're talking about his brand new book that just came out. And it is on Amazon, and there are going to be links to it on our social media and all of our pages, so you can connect to that there. The book is A Private War, and let's pick up where we left off. Heck of a lot of research goes in to writing a book. You've been working on this thing for a few years, and talk about all that research, because a lot of this is, it's got to be historically correct, and then mixed with your fiction, and then there's a lot of approvals you have to get as well.
There is. Of course, the story of the Black Panther is part of the overall book. It's not. I couldn't cover it entirely, but I cover them from their training all the way into France and Germany. And people might not realize this, but General Patton, if you see the movie Patton at the very beginning, that speech, he actually gave that speech to the Black Panther unit, the 761st. Many people don't know that.
Yeah,
So
I didn't. Yeah.
and that's in the book. And of course, that unit was led by a Lieutenant Colonel Bates, who was a white officer at the time, and so he gets injured. And so I created a scene where Tatiana, the female journalist, interviews him after that. I create a scene where Tatiana actually goes and visits or sees Eleanor Roosevelt giving a speech, because her father wanted her to get some experience, and so she covers Eleanor Roosevelt, and then she covers the first day opening of the Pentagon. This is all fictional, but it adds some background. Now, a book of World War II had all the famous actresses. So Marlene Dietrich makes an appearance in Germany, which she did, and I had her sing this, I referenced one of the songs in one of her movies, The Blue Angel. So The Angel, which was in 1930, but I had to obtain the permission to put her in the book, and I was able to do that through her grandson, who said it was fine. And, of course, Ernest Hemingway was alleged to have violated the rules of engagement in France when he was purportedly assisting some of the rebels. And so some of the journalists turned him in, and the Inspector General, they basically brought him in and made him answer for what he was doing, and he actually defended himself. So I created kind of a court-martial scene in the book, because the journalists wore uniforms just like, and so I created a scene where it's appearing like he's on court-martial, so to speak. He's answering the charges that are brought, and so he actually defended himself, and he was not sent home. So I had to contact the Simon & Schuster has the rights to this Patton Panther book written by Charles Sasser out of Oklahoma. And so Simon & Schuster gave me a license agreement to use the information in that book, because there was not many books I could use. And I said, well, you also have Ernest Hemingway, and I want to portray him in the book. And they said, we're okay with that. We're fine with that. And I said, their heirs okay with that? Yes, they are. I said, but we need a license agreement on the patent on the Panther book. So I obtained a license for that, and they said, okay with this. And then Marlene Dietrich's grandson said it's okay to portray her if Simon & Schuster says it's okay to portray Ernest Hemingway, and that's fine.
So getting hold of Marlene Dietrich's grandson, so how did you even go about that? I mean, that's got to be a story itself. And by the way, we're going to run a little bit long, so the pre-recorded promo at the end, we're going to cut that, okay? Folks, ordinarily I wouldn't say that over there, but we're still working some kinks out with our folks on the other side of the glass there, so they don't know how I operate sometimes. So, talk about that, Perry.
Well, surprisingly, even though somebody's deceased, you have to obtain permission. So Josephine Baker was one that turns out she has an agent in Los Angeles, and it was quite easy. And they actually were very easy to work with. They approved it. They needed the book. The heirs looked at it and said it was fine. I signed the agreement. And the same is true with Simon & Schuster. It's a very easy process. They actually encourage people, I would think, because it helps a book and helps them. And so, but as long as you seek approval, you're fine. And then, some of these characters actually sing, like Marlene Dietrich sings. And in the Mary Hemingway book, Ernest Hemingway, and she sang in France several times, and Marlene Dietrich visits them at their hotel in France with all of his friends from the militia who were in the hotel. He actually sings songs, so I always get the idea. I said, well, this book is becoming a musical in some respects. So one of the soldiers likes to sing, but all these songs required license agreements.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so they're quite easy to obtain, actually. I found them on the website, but I actually did speak to Peter Riva, the grandson of Marlene Dietrich, and so basically it was just internet research and continuing to pursue and follow up and send them the book. They want to see it, and they approve it in advance. So
of course, yeah, they got to prove what's going out.
Long story short, as they come, the reporters, it shows all the conflicts reporters go through and the type of reporting they do. They report war. They report the capture of one of the Tuskegee Airmen. They report friendly fire, and then one of the soldiers gets involved in a court-martial, and then they struggle over how they want to report. Do they want to report this? They want to report the black soldier in a positive way, and so they struggle over, well, they don't want to report this. And there's other instances of reporting and having to provide the information to the censors, and the censors not wanting to approve it unless you can prove it was printed in another media. And then there's the issue of, like, Hoover was actually concerned about reporting. He was concerned about the black newspaper journalists going over there and maybe really reporting about racial conditions and how the black soldier was treated. And so he was concerned about that. But I did not want this book to be about that issue.
Right.
So I deliberately removed, it's not a racial book. It's not a book on racism. And so I avoided that. But it's a book about the black soldier, and it's just a story that I hope the readers really like, because it has conflict, it has struggle, and what these two soldiers get into and how they get, one of them, you wonder, will he ever get out of this court-martial? And then it has contentious JAG attorneys that deal with this case. I don't want to say too much more about that. I don't want to give the book away, but...
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like an amazing story. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about that period of time, things were very different back then. Like you said, it's not a book about racism, but it does talk about, the what really occurred back then.
It does.
And it's factual and historical, but also it's just, at the end of the day, like you said, it's a story.
It's a story,
and I think it sounds like a great story about these black soldiers, and then who's covering them, the black correspondents, and it sounds great to me. I'm looking forward to reading it. I mean, folks, these are just hot off the press. I just got mine from Perry, and Perry signed it. Thank you. And looks like a great read. I'm gonna read this thing for sure. We've got links to it on Amazon, and Perry. We didn't get into our usual attorney segments that we'd like to talk to you about this time, but I think this was more important to talk about because this is a huge deal. I mean, accomplishing this and, your first novel, and it looks great. And
Thank you.
Looking really forward to reading it.
Thank you, Mike.
Folks, hey, I would highly recommend, get your copy now, hot off the press. It's called A Private War. You can catch it on Amazon. And, of course, links to it are on our website and our other social media. Perry J. Cockerell, A Private War. Looks awesome, folks. Hey, another great show, Inside Real Estate Sports Entertainment. And, hey, guess what? We're going to see you at 2 o'clock later today. And then, of course, next week at 8 a.m. We're out. Neither the hosts nor the guests or contribute 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 the hosts nor the guests